Welcome back. I'm Chewy. Today, we are going to talk about the chain of command of your mind. I gave a known command structure that most people could follow and understand. So, without further ado, let's begin. Most people think they're in charge of themselves all the time. They are not. Most of the time, they are being run by whatever part of their system gets activated first. That is why you can be calm one moment, wise one moment, clear-headed, and then one comment, one look, or a tone or just a memory can trigger an unexpected moment. You are saying things you did not plan, feeling things you did not ask for, and reacting in ways you thought you had already outgrown. Well, that isn't random. That is a system. And in Soniagogy, we teach that system like a chain of command. Because if you don't understand who is firing when, then you will keep expecting your higher self to lead while your survival system is already running the meeting. So why the chain of command matters. Now, I want you to imagine a military base. There's a commander in charge of the base. There are officers. There's an intelligence. There are rapid response teams. There are automatic systems already trained to move when a threat appears. Now, I want you to imagine the same structure is happening inside of you in a very human way. You see, every day your body and mind are scanning, interpreting, reacting, storing, and responding without you even realizing. It's automatic, like a radar defense system evaluating the surroundings, any possible threats that could harm you or make you feel uncomfortable and even bring you pleasure and peace. So when things are calm, the system can work in order. When things feel threatening, the order changes completely. That change is what most people do, not understand. And that misunderstanding is why they blame themselves or they blame others. They say, why did I do that again? Why did I snap? Why did I shut down when I should have said something? Why do I know better but still don't do better? Because in that moment, the chain of command changed. So when you are calm, grounded, and not under perceived threat, the system can work the way it was designed to work best. It moves in order, such as, in number one, your commander in chief, your conscious mind. This is a part of you that chooses. This is the thoughtful part of you, the empathic part of you, the aware part, the part that can reflect, plan, observe, and decide. This is the part that says, I want to be patient. I need to go to the gym. I want to communicate better. I want to stop reacting like that. I want to change. This is your leadership center. In Soniagogy, this is the part we want back online more often. Not because the other parts are bad, but because the commander in chief is the one that can choose the direction. When you are calm, this part has more access. It can think before speaking. It can pause before acting. It can notice a feeling without becoming the feeling. That is leadership. And then number two, our general hypothalamus. If the commander in chief is the strategist, the general is operations. The hypothalamus manages core survival functions. It helps you regulate hunger, temperature, hormones, sleep, your sleep cycles, and stress responses. It is deeply involved in keeping the body balanced. So you can think of it like the operations director that helps coordinate what the body needs in order to stay stable. So when things are calm, the general is not panicking. It's simply managing the environment and maintaining order. It's not out there screaming, it's an emergency, it's an emergency. No, it's just doing its job. It helps the body remain steady enough for the conscious mind to think clearly. And in number three, the Colonel hippocampus. This is your intelligence officer. The hippocampus works with memory, context, and pattern recognition. It helps answer questions like, have I seen this before? Is this actually dangerous? What does this situation remind me of? What happened the last time something similar happened? In a calm state, part is very helpful. It gives context. It helps you remember that just because someone's side, it does not mean they hate you. It helps you remember that just because someone is quiet, it doesn't mean you're in trouble. It helps you compare the present moment with reality instead of just with fear. The kernel helps organize the information so the system does not overreact to every shadow like it is a tiger. Number four, the major amygdala. This is the emotional command center and threat detector. The amygdala is fast, super fast. Its job is to ask, is this safe or not safe? And that is useful. You need that. You definitely need that. You want a part of you that can recognize danger quickly. You don't want to call me journal while a car is flying at your face in traffic. You want fast action in real danger. The issue is not that the system exists. The issue is that for many people, this part is overtrained by old pain, fear, embarrassment, rejection, old chaos, and old emotional patterns. So now the major can make mistakes. Discomfort can feel like danger. A tone feels like danger. Delays from receiving a text message feels like dangerous. Looks could kill. It feels dangerous. Being questioned can feel dangerous. Not being understood can feel dangerous. Well, in a calm state, the major still works, but it's less likely to overtake the whole operation. And at number five, the captain. Captain Sony, your basal ganglia. So what is Sony? Sony is your subconscious operating neural intelligence. Sony is the automation system. This is the part that runs what has been repeated, your scripts, if you will, your programs, habits, reflexes, survival patterns, emotional loops, learned relationship patterns. So familiar ways of coping. Sony doesn't sit around asking, is this the healthiest response? No, Sony asks, what have we practiced the most? That is why repetition matters. If you practice defensiveness, Sony gets good at being defensive. And if you practice shutting down, Sony does that too, gets really good at shutting down. If you practice people pleasing, over explaining, snapping, chasing, withdrawing, numbing, controlling, freezing, avoiding, performing, scrolling on your phone, Sony gets very good at running all those programs. In a calm state, Sony can still run useful routines, such as drive a familiar route, brush your teeth, tying your shoes at dark, making coffee half asleep while pretending you are a functioning adult before caffeine enters the meeting. That is automation. And automation isn't bad. Untrained automation is the issue. The healthy order in calm. So in a calm state, the chain of command looks more like this. Commander-in-Chief sets direction. General hypothalamus manages body operations. Colonel hippocampus brings in context and memory. Major amygdala checks for threat. This is your intel. Captain Sony, your basal ganglia, carries out the strongest trained pattern for that situation. That means the leader is leading. That means the system has support. And that means the emotional command center is part of the process, not the whole process. That means automation is serving awareness, not replacing it. This is what people often experience in moments of clarity. This is when they say, hey, I handled that well. I stayed calm. I heard it, but I didn't take the bait. You see that? I noticed the feeling, but I did not become it. And so you pat yourself on the back, on your back. Now, this isn't luck. That is the system working in better order. Now, let's change the scene. Now, let's say you get triggered. Someone uses a sharp tone. The partner gives you the look. You get a message from work. Maybe you're feeling ignored. Maybe you feel challenged, blamed, and even dismissed. But then again, life, right? Life just piles up. Bills, pressure, pain, stress, lack of sleep, too much caffeine, not enough space, unresolved history with your partner. And one small thing tips the cart. Now, that system does not fire in the same order. And this is where most people get confused. They think their conscious mind should still be in charge just because they know better. I'm sorry, this is not how activation works. When the system feels threatened, speed takes over. Why? Because it's survival. And speed does not wait for wisdom. So what happens when the chain of command gets triggered? So when you get triggered, the order changes. First one to hit, It's your major amygdala fires first. The major jumps up immediately. It scans and decides something is wrong. Not always accurate, just quickly. This is the emotional alarm system. And once it fires, the whole system begins preparing for protection. Now, that protection may look like anger. It may look like withdrawal, anxiety. It may look like shutdown. It may look like people pleasing. Could look like defending, controlling, correcting, attacking, or even escaping, numbing, and freezing. People often think a trigger is the event. A trigger is actually the system interpretation of that event. One person hears a tone and shrugs, another hears the same tone and feels their whole chest tighten. Why? Because the major is not just reading the moment, it's reading the moment through old conditioning or old filters. Number two, general hypothalamus activates the body. Now, once the alarm is sounded, the general starts mobilizing resources. The body begins preparing for action. Your hormones begin shifting. Stress chemistry increases. The heart rate begins to go a little faster. Breathing begins changing. Muscles may tense up, and your attention narrows. The body isn't waiting for your philosophy, it's preparing for what it thinks it needs in survival. This is why telling people to calm down usually works about as well as yelling at a smoke detector to become a ceiling fan. The body's already moving. The operation center has already hit the button. Then we come to three. Your major signals guard dog mode, or it signals the guide dog mode. This is where your automatic system shifts. If the system feels threatened, it leans towards guard dog mode. That is the Doberman alert system, your trigger and track. Alert, protect, react. If the system begins to settle and recognize safety, it can return toward guide dog mode setting. That's your Irish Wolfhound. Rest, recover, regulate, restore. When triggered, most people enter guard dog mode before they even realize it. Their voice begins to change. Their face changes. Their breathing begins changing. Their posture changes. And their interpretation changes. And because this happens really fast, they think, this is just how I feel. No, this is how your system is firing. Number four, Captain Sony, your basal ganglia, runs the old program. Now the captain takes over with whatever has been trained the most. Now, this is the part people mistake for personality. And it's not always the case. Often, it's repetition. If your system learned to argue, that's what it does. It argues. If it learned to shut down, guess what? It shuts down. If it learned to chase, it will chase. If it learns to disappear, it will disappear. If it learned to over-explain in order to feel safe, then out comes like a six-part TED Talk nobody asked for. That is old training, my friends, and this is why in the heat of the moment, people don't usually access the new insight they wrote in their journal 3 days ago while wrapped in a blanket with tea and hope. Because under pressure, Sony runs what is practiced the most, not what is preferred. So now kicks in number five, kernel hippocampus gets distorted or delayed. When the system is activated, memory and context can be less useful here. The kernel may still be there, but it is no longer calmly briefing the room. Now it's pulling out old files fast, like, this feels like the last time. This always happens. Here we go again. They never listen. I knew it. This is exactly like my father. This is exactly like my ex. I am not safe. I feel like I'm being judged. I am being disrespected right now. The problem is not the memory exists. The problem is that under stress, the system may grab the wrong file or an old file and treat it like the present truth. Now, the past starts wearing today's clothes, and people react to history as if it just walked into the kitchen. Last but not least is your commander-in-chief comes online. This is the part that surprises people. The conscious mind, the one that says, I want to be different, often comes online after the first part of the reaction has already happened. Not always, but more often than not. This is why people say things like, I knew I should have not said that. Oh, I watched myself do that. I could feel it happening in the moment and I didn't do anything about it. I wanted to stop, but I didn't. I knew better. Yes, later. The commander-in-chief was late to the scene and last to know because the alarm system and survival training moves first, period. That doesn't mean you are powerless. It means your training has to include how to bring the commander back online faster. That is the work. So now let's go over the triggered order, and I'll do it as simple as terms as I can. So when triggered, the chain of command often looks more like this. Major senses a threat. General mobilizes the body. Guard dog mode rises. Captain Sony runs the old program. Colonel pulls old memory files, and Commander-in-Chief arrives late and tries to clean up the mess. That is the pattern. That is why awareness alone is not enough. Because in calm, you get it, you understand this. But when you're activated, you're triggered, or stressful moments, you execute. And if execution is still holding old training, guess what? The knowledge will keep losing to repetition. So why this matters so much? If you don't understand the order of firing, then you will keep making these same mistakes. You will expect your conscious self to be in charge while triggered. You will shame yourself for not acting from wisdom. While you're in survival mode, you will mistake a trained response for your true identity. And you will keep calling yourself weak, broken, dramatic, toxic, too sensitive, being too much, not enough, or incapable. When really, much of the time, what you are seeing is a system running in the wrong order. Now, that is why Soniagogy exists, to help you understand the machine, to help you feel the shift in real time, to help you train the gap between activation and action, to help you restore leadership. Therefore, what are we really training? We are not trying to destroy the major. You need a threat detector, people. We are not trying to silence the general. You need body coordination. And we are not trying to erase the colonel. You need memory and pattern recognition. We are not trying to get rid of Sony. You need automation. Our body works on automation. We are training the system so that the commander-in-chief can return sooner, bleed better, and retrain what the captain runs under pressure. That's the difference. You are not trying to become emotionless or become someone else. You are trying to become a little more ordered. You are trying to become aware fast enough so you can lead. So when you are calm, the chain of command works in order. The command leads, the system supports. The emotional center informs. The automation follows. When you are triggered, speed takes over. The alarm fires first. The body mobilizes, and old training runs. Memory pulls old distorted files, and the conscious mind often shows up after the reaction has already started. So that is why change takes more than insight. It takes training. It takes repetition. It takes learning how to bring the right leader back online before the old program finishes the sentence. That's Soniagogy, the dojo of the mind, where we take you from knowing to doing, to being. Join the revolution and take your power back from the patterns that have been running you. It shows up in how you react under pressure, how you show up in your relationships, at work, with friends, with family, and with your partner, and the results you keep getting in life. So, in our next video segment, I'm going to introduce to you the framework we use to retrain it. Mindscaping. Well, what is it? Well, join us to find out next time to learn more about it. Follow me here, give us a thumbs up if you like it, and join the Soniagogy community. If you're ready to train this, not just to understand it, well, you'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just type in Soniagogy. And you can visit the website as well, soniagogy.com. Thank you for being here. Until next time, be well and take care.